another little rabbit hole we ended up down through someone buying one of our vests that had an autistic child. She rang me and was actually in tears on the phone and said that she hadn't been able to get her son, who was, I would assume, like primary school age. They go and walk the dog after dinner each night, and this child hadn't been out with them to do that forever. He'd just eat his dinner and go and game in his room or whatever. He saw the delivery come of our vest the day that it turned up and came down to see what it was. And then she opened it up and he put it on. It was a 5 kilo and it was probably a bit too heavy for him, but there's something about the weight and I think too the material, that sensory feel. He didn't want to take it off. And so she did a deal with him and said, whenever we go walk the dog, you can take the vest. And she said, and now he's harassing them to get out of the house to walk the dog.
Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What on earth is rucking?
The easy answer is it's just walking with weight. So the military's been using it as a training tool for their soldiers forever, and that's kind of where it originated. The word rucking actually comes from the apparatus used to ruck with, which is a rucksack. And so rucksacks have been in the military forever. They kind of call it pack marching, but it's kind of been described as rucking as the activity. And yeah, and it's a good form. The military use it so they can build load in their soldiers with minimal risk of injury, where, if they were running with the weight that they've got to carry, there's probably going to be a whole lot more injuries than just carrying heavy packs and going for a walk.
So it's evolved a bit from people just having weights in a rucksack to lots of people walking around with weighted vests. You've only got to walk along the beach front on any town in Australia at the minute and you will see usually women often walking along with these vests. What is going on there?
It's getting some good media coverage from people like yourself, and we were having a quick chat about Mary and Vonda before. In the US, there's just a lot of media around weighted vests and the benefits of wearing weighted vests through perimenopause in particular. That's kind of the hot topic at the moment. But I think for even people that are on weight loss journeys or people that are worried about osteoporosis or people that, there's a big thing about, eating protein and lifting weights and not everybody wants to go to the gym. I think there's just a lot of people that have cottoned on that rucking or wearing a weight vest while you walk kind of cheats exercise a little bit, because it's not like if I'm going to the gym, I know I'm going to do a workout. There's that mental thing. But if I'm just walking my dog at the beach, but I can stick a vest on or a backpack with some weight in it and ruck effectively, you're just kind of making your existing movement a little bit more meaningful. And I think that's why it's so popular at the moment.
So let's just explain that to people. So I saw that you've got a video of you mowing the lawn with your ruck vest on. And as I say, people are walking with them. People are going to the beach wearing them. What actually does having this additional weight on your body do for you?
Oh, there's heaps of research, and I hate answering this question because I'm the guy trying to sell people ruck vests, so it all comes across as a bit salesy. But it's commonsensical. Like whether you read the research papers or not, if you're putting something on that's weighted, and whether you're carrying dumbbells in a farmer's carry or whether you're wearing a vest or a backpack or carrying, like if you're carrying weight, your heart's going to work harder. So you're going to get a cardio benefit over and above if you're just walking without weight. There's calorie burn information out there. There's even some studies to suggest that you get 2 to 3 times the calorie burn, but I'm here to call bullshit on that. Which is unusual because I'm probably the most to gain out of someone thinking that they can get 2 to 3 calorie burn. But I think that study, when you dive into it, it was done with military and they were carrying like 65-pound packs, which is nothing that anybody walking their dog is going to carry. So it's not very relevant. We're doing some long-term research with La Trobe Uni in Melbourne, and we've worked with an exercise physiologist here doing some lactic threshold tests and stuff like that. And for me, if I'm carrying 10% of my body weight, I can see about a 40% increase, not a 200 to 300% like a lot of people like to sprout out there. But yeah, calorie burn, it's the same thing. If your heart's working harder and your effort is more, you're going to burn more calories. So that's commonsensical again. Then there's a bone density piece, which is a little bit harder to test. But there is tests out there of people doing like DEXA scans after a certain period of rucking. And that's commonsensical again. If you're carrying weight, it's going to help with your bones and your soft tissue. And then with your muscle, like your same thing. It's like,
It's one of those interesting ones where virtually every other disease in humans is made worse by being overweight or being heavy. But interestingly, it tends to be thin or underweight women who have more osteoporosis than overweight women. So it's interesting that being overweight is often a bit protective of your bones. Basically, because
messes everything else up. So your bones are okay.
And so we're not gonna obviously encourage people to go and get overweight just to keep their bones strong. But it's interesting because this is actually allowing you to have some weight that you can put on and then take back off again within 30 seconds. But it is very interesting. So often people who are overweight or in fact even obese have less osteoporosis.
Yeah.
People who are underweight.
Common sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Again. If I'm a 70-ish kilo female, where am I going to start?
General rule of thumb, and what we sort of say quite often, because it's a question that we do get asked a lot, is starting between 5 and 10%. And I would suggest if you're quite sedentary and you're just getting off the couch or you're just getting back into exercise after like postpartum, or I would suggest going towards the lighter end, like the 5% of your body weight. But if you're already walking a lot, you're already, going to the gym and you're active and you might play netball, or I think you can definitely steer up more towards the 10%. But in saying all that, the biggest general rule that I say to everyone is that you can make a light ruck harder just by adding stairs, adding hills, going for longer. You can't make a heavy ruck lighter unless you dump the weight and then go back and do the drive of shame to pick it up later on, right? So we get a lot of, we've never had a return from a fault as of yet. We have had plenty of returns of people that have ordered the 8 kilo and then realized that they've bitten off a little bit too much. And I don't like that in the fact that, Ozpost is getting way too much money because they've got to return to us and we're sending a new one out. And obviously the ecological damage of all that transport isn't great either. So I always tend to, if you're not sure, go lighter. And we have created a trade up system purely for that reason. And so if you start on a 5, for instance, and then start using the 5 and enjoying it and get to a point where you don't feel like you're getting any benefit out of the 5 anymore, we will give you $80 cash back and all the slips to send it in, and we'll send you an 8. And then same thing, if you get comfortable with an 8 where it doesn't feel like an 8's like doing anything for you anymore, we'll upgrade you to an 11, and we've got a 15 and a 20 coming out as well. So it just allows everybody to work from a smaller base. And that's what we want people to do in our community, is just use it. If you've got one that's too heavy, and a good tell is if you're going out to walk the dog and you look at the vest and you go, and you go out without it, you've probably got a too heavy a vest. Where if you've got the right size vest for what your ability is, you'll want to go walking with the vest every time. So that's a good tell. But yeah, I always suggest that people start lighter, because whether it's a week, a month, a year that you want to upgrade to a heavier weight, it's quite easy to do it with our system that we've set up.
I know that your wife, Emma, was very foundational in the development of the vest. Tell me the story behind that.
I've had quite a sordid health journey, as you know. So we took a year away, which is kind of an idea that you come up with when you're sitting in a lead room glowing in the dark, which I was after getting treated for cancer. And during the trip, on my journey to get back to health, I walked a lot, and that was the idea for the backpack. So that's why we're called Rucksack, is because the original concept and the only product that I thought I was ever going to develop was a backpack that you could carry weight and adjust the weight in smaller increments. And that was the Rucksack. As we were traveling around, I was getting prototypes sent to us, and Emma was going through perimenopause and was listening to Mary Claire and Vonda and Kelly and all of the people in the perimenopausal space. But particularly Mary was talking about like using a weighted vest a lot. And so Emma was using my prototype of the backpack, the Rucksack, and she loved it, but she was the one that kind of suggested that we look at doing a vest, because she said females aren't going to want to carry around what looks like a military backpack. And so in my research for doing this weighted company, I'd worn every single weight vest that I could possibly get my hands on. None of them were comfortable. And I just never thought about doing a vest because of that fact. I'm like, the backpack is a comfortable way of wearing weight. You can't walk with a vest on that's comfortable. And then Emma just kind of forced my hand to go, like, these guys have been creating weighted vests forever and no one's created a comfortable one. Surely it can't be done. And so anyway, there's no such thing as can't, as you know. And we worked with a really clever guy based out of China, but he's an Amsterdam guy called Moose, which I've known for years. And I kind of just gave him a bit of a brief and said, look, you're not going to find a weight vest that's comfortable, but maybe we look for a material that could be used to make a weight vest that's comfortable. And that was the point of difference. And so we found a company that was doing dumbbells and hand weights but doing it in this soft material. He found it and he said, I think this is it. He said, it's not quite right, but it's a good starting point. And so, yeah, we started working with those guys who had a patent on that material. We tweaked it to suit for purpose our stuff. And we ended up creating what would be easily the world's most comfortable weight vest. And that's why we're on such a extreme growth curve and I can't keep stock up to everybody.
Yeah, so good. And so I have to say they are definitely very, very comfortable. One of the questions a couple of people have asked me are, how do they wash their vest? Because some people are obviously getting a bit hot and sweaty as they're doing all their exercise. What do you do? Are you meant to be just airing it out, or what are you doing?
They're fully washable. So there's videos on our website and on our YouTube channel on how you do that. So I just stick them in a laundry tub with some water and just laundry detergent, give it a bit of a scrub, and then don't hang it on your line. Obviously, you'll destroy your clothesline, but hang it over a balcony or a railing. Or sometimes I set up a little like a ladder and hang it over there. In between rucks, I don't do that all the time. I probably do that maybe once a month, or you'll just know if it starts to smell, definitely give it a wash. But in between rucks, I just use disinfectant wipes. And so if I've come back and I've been sweaty, I'll give it a wipe down and then just hang it out to dry it out. And usually that gets me a month or more, and I ruck quite a lot. So, and I am a sweaty beast. So, but at any point that you feel like it needs a good wash, just soak it in the tub for 10 minutes with some laundry detergent, give it a swoosh around and then hang it out.
Is there anybody who shouldn't be using a ruck vest?
If you've had back issues, so like bulging discs and stuff like that. So if you've been to have a CT scan or something around a back issue, I'd always check with your GP. Sometimes your GP or your allied health professional will probably request that you do like carry weight because it's going to be beneficial, but just always make sure that it is the right thing for you, because I'm sure there is people out there that it's going to do more harm than good, and particularly if they go too heavy too early.
Obviously, we've talked a bit about middle-aged women who seem to have embraced this quite a lot. And as a doctor in this space, I'm always encouraging strength training. And where does this fit in? Does this replace them being able to do strength training, or does this go alongside it?
Depends on the person. Like for me, it's replaced gyms. Like I said, I never liked going to the gym. The fact that I can go at the back of Terrigal and find some pretty nasty hills. Sometimes I'll even put like a altitude mask on and hit hills with a real heavy weight. Like I don't feel like I need to go to the gym anymore. And I'm 53 now. I'm healthier and fitter than I can remember, like probably since I was 20.
Right.
So yeah, and I'm not doing any gym. I don't go to the gym at all. So but if you still enjoy the gym, then it's a great adjunct to it. It's good for active recovery. So if you are a little bit gym obsessive, and your Whoop band is telling you that you need a rest day, but you don't do rest days because you're David Goggins' disciples or whatever, the fact that you can just take a light day and go for a walk but put some weight on, it's good from that active recovery standpoint as well. But I think the key to successful exercise is doing something that you enjoy doing. And so for me, creating a product that people can do that doesn't feel like exercise. So you mentioned me mowing the lawns. whether you're walking the dog, walking the kids to school, whether you're going shopping. But whenever you're moving, if you can make that moving more meaningful by just adding a little bit of weight, then it doesn't seem like exercise, it's just daily activity.
Yeah, I did see actually a video online of some guys wearing your vest while they were actually weight training as well. So they seemed to have the vest on, but then they were pumping iron, as it were, as well.
Yeah.
What's the thinking there? That's just giving them some axial loading, or what?
Yeah, it gets the heart working a bit harder, like particularly on a functional. So that would have been a functional exercise, like on ski ergs, row ergs, that sort of thing. So we've had some early conversations with a gym chain, like a quite popular gym chain, that wants to look at having vests in each location. That for someone who, like, if someone's going to the gym 5 to 7 times and say it's one of these HIIT style gyms where the workouts are kind of the same, I'm sure, I don't know the numbers, but they would experience churn when people would, just get bored of doing the same stuff all the time. So what they're looking at is to try to combat that, is to give their fitter members the opportunity to spice up their normal HIIT workout by sticking some weight on. So that's another avenue. Like, it's funny, this vest, just everyone that tries it, it just creates a whole new marketplace for it. So whether, we can be talking, like, we could be, it's so hot right now, and talking to heaps of perimenopausal ladies, and then, that goes on a big tear, but then we'll go to a gym with it, and one of the big gym bros will stick on one of our heavy 11 kilo vests and then and he's like, dude, this has got to be in every gym everywhere. This is amazing. And then then you get a whole segment of gym people, which are very different to the perimenopausal people. And then you've got the healthy aging people that are into the longevity and the health benefits. And so there's so many avatars of people that the vest works for. It actually creates a challenge because it's like, I've got one Instagram feed, and 1 minute you can see that there's gym bros on there working out hard, and then the next minute there could be a 70-year-old lady walking to Terrigal with one.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. And that's actually a demographic that I did want to touch on, because we definitely have some listeners in that demographic who are older. So maybe, 70s, 80s, but they're very active. Are they a group that you would adjust down a little bit in weight, or?
They weren't our target market to start with, but we've discovered them along the way. They've led to us designing a 3 kilo vest. So we've got a 3 kilo vest that's coming out, and it was between some more frailer, like the older demographic that want to carry some weight and will get the benefit of carrying some, but the 5 kilo might have been a bit too heavy. We had a lot of our osteo allied health professionals hit us up, and they've got clients that are already in osteo that are they're recommending to do the thing, but same thing, that the 5 kilo might just be a bit too much. And then another little rabbit hole we ended up down through someone buying one of our vests that had an autistic child. She rang me and was actually in tears on the phone and said that she hadn't been able to get her son, who was, I would assume, like primary school age, out of the house to go walk. They go and walk the dog after dinner each night, and this child hadn't been out with them to do that forever. He'd just eat his dinner and go and game in his room or whatever. He saw the delivery come of our vest the day that it turned up and came down to see what it was. And then she opened it up and he put it on. It was a 5 kilo and it was probably a bit too heavy for him, but there's something about the weight and I think too the material, that sensory feel. He didn't want to take it off. And so she did a deal with him and said, whenever we go walk the dog, you can take the vest. And she said, and now he's harassing them to get out of the house to walk the dog. And she just said, like, it was game changing. But she did ask, she just said, look, there's going to be a lot of kids that 5 kilos too heavy for, and even my son's probably a little too heavy for. Are you looking at doing a small, so I think that market combined with the osteo, combined with the older demographic has led us to increase our range to now include a 3 kilo, which will be coming in with the next shipment.
Amazing. I was literally just going to ask you the question about teenagers, because I know that, of course, they love to jump on a trend. And I know that my 2 teens, who are same age as yours, were asking, can they have a Ruck vest? So you've kind of answered the question, yes, but probably just keeping the weight to that lower end.
It's got to be comfortable. Like if it hurts, it's too much. Unless you're searching for hurt. Plug for my TV show.
Okay, so we've talked about strengthening bones. We've talked about assisting with increasing your heart rate when you're out walking. We've talked about helping with weight loss. Is there anything else that you think that this does? I mean, I think mental health is if you can get someone out to be motivated and even just go for a walk and feel like they're doing more than just a walk,
Yeah.
and hopefully it's going to help people's mental health. But are there any other benefits that we haven't touched on?
The outdoor thing is powerful, particularly if you time it right. Like if you can get out and get first morning light exposure while you're got a bit of weight on your back and listening to your favorite podcast or audio book, like that's a pretty great way to start your day. And I actually get up earlier and do a bit of work before then, but I'm always out first light, getting first light exposure in. And I just think I've monitored my sleep. I've kind of become a little bit of a health hacker since being all the comorbidities and then having to come back from that. And just the difference in sleep, from wearing weight, getting first light exposure. I even try to time my meals a little bit around the circadian stuff as well. But there's just nothing quite like being outside. And I think we live in a world where we're inside a lot. And even posturally, I guess, is something that you would look at as well. We're bent over phones, we're bent over laptops, we're bent over computers, and that seems to be a big part of our daily existence these days. So getting outside, getting away from overhead lights and all that sort of stuff and getting some natural light and a bit of sun on your skin, and then having something that forces you to kind of pull your shoulders back a little bit posturally. Like that's a lot of people comment on that. I guess that's the thing that the people expect that they're going to get all these health benefits, but the thing that really surprises them is that postural. It puts them in a really nice position.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it ticks a lot of boxes. I haven't really met anyone who doesn't like doing it. So, and that's, like I said, the key to successful anything is enjoying what you do and making it a daily routine.
Just for anyone listening, is it a one size fits all? Is it a weight and it adjusts? And what about maybe some of our listeners might have quite big breasts? Is it comfortable for someone who has a bigger chest size? And is it adjustable, or can you explain that side of things?
Yeah, well, so the vests are adjustable in 3 locations, which make it a little bit different to the ones on the market as well. So you've got your chest strap, and you've got your side straps, and we've played around. We've only been on the market since September, so everything's very new. We did the first 2 that we bought out was a 5 kilo, which was a smaller shell, had a single strap. And then we had an 8 kilo, which was a bigger shell and had 2 straps. We then moved towards having 2 8 kilo versions, which was a wide and a small. So the reason that we did that is that the people that had bought the 5 kilo vest that had conquered it and wanted to move up to an 8, they didn't want the bigger shell size because it'd flop around a little bit too much. So they wanted the smaller shell size, but in an 8. So we just designed something that was a little thicker, same size, single strap. As we've had the 2 products working side by side in the 8 kilos, we've noticed that the bigger one, which we thought would suit bigger breasted ladies more, doesn't actually. Because the second strap, the bottom strap, sits in a horrible spot, like probably around the nipple line or something,
Okay.
So the fact that with they can put a smaller vest on and it's a single strap, it just gives them a way more adjustability front and back before they then tighten the side straps up. And so we've actually moved away from that bigger shell in the 8. So the 8 and the 5 are the same size shell. We have to move into the bigger shell for the 11s and the 15s and the 20s, just to physically get that much weight on someone. It needs to be a bigger thing. So, but yeah, it's fully adjustable. We haven't had someone who doesn't fit into one yet. So, but like adding the 3 and like adding the 15 and the 20 for the arduous testing firies and stuff that go on, like the longer that we're around and the more people that are in our community and we can social listen on people's pain points. And I love going and doing Ruck Club meetings. That's something that we do quite a lot. And I love it because I get to meet people who are putting my stuff on their backs for the first time. So I get a lot of live feedback. And for me as an entrepreneur, that's gold. But yeah, we'll just always be tweaking and developing. And now we've got people saying, oh, you're going to do other colorways, and which we can totally do pink ones and purple ones. And it's been funny, actually. I designed the first one and I designed it to be black because everyone tends to wear black. I kind of wanted it where people didn't know that you're wearing a vest, but as it's become trendy, I didn't even have a logo on the front. So the first versions of the vest didn't have any logo on the front, had a small logo on the back, which we only put on there because it illuminates at night. So it's reflective. But then we started getting people go, oh, when I'm walking and I'm taking my selfies or putting whatever, like you can't tell I'm wearing a weight vest. And I'm kind of like, well, that was the point. But we got that much negative feedback that people wanted people to know that they're wearing the weight vest, that now we have a little logo on the front as well. And we'll probably look to do some different colorways. But for me, I'd love to do that as a collaboration. So like we're talking with Lorna Jane at the moment, and maybe do something where they design up a cool design for the vests, and we kind of do a collaboration that way. But because I'm a male and now I'm in a very female dominated product space, I like black.
Yeah, okay. Interestingly, I had a patient the other day, and she's a nurse, and she's actually been wearing hers under her scrubs all day at work.
Yeah.
So she was feeling very proud of herself.
Yeah.
Adam, I just want to finish by, I suppose, asking you a little bit more of a personal question, which is, how has your cancer journey changed your outlook or perspective on life?
Whew. Wow. It changed it massively. And I guess it was the kick in the bum that I needed to start focusing on my health, because the reason I got into such poor metabolic health was trying to be the world's best entrepreneur. And so I had successful businesses and brands, and that's what I love to do. But I would work 20 hours a day on that. And not because I had to, just because I loved it. It was something I was good at. And I did that and nothing else. I didn't move. I sat in front of a computer. I ate crap. I traveled a lot, which meant like staying in hotels and eating and drinking and catching up with friends. And so 10 or 15 years of doing that went by pretty quickly. And I knew, obviously my body composition was changing. So, I knew that I was becoming unhealthy, but I wasn't quite aware of the total damage I did to myself until coming home from a meeting just before Christmas one day and thought I was having a heart attack, and then pulled the car over, went and saw a GP, and it was at Killarney Vale. It was a suburb. We were living at Long Jetty at the time. And so it was I was close to home, but I couldn't even see. I was that white, cold sweat, heart was racing. I didn't know what was going on. And there was across from the runner shop in Killarney Vale, there was a new GP that had opened on the residential side. And there was a sign saying, GP's now open. And so I pulled over illegally, put my hazards on, went in there, and they must have thought I was on drugs, or like, because I thought I was having a heart attack, and like, save me. And it was fortunate because they were brand new. No one was in the waiting room. And so this older Indian GP walks out and basically spent 90 minutes with me doing a consult. And one of the things I remember, I'll never forget it, he said, it's no point being the richest guy in the graveyard. But I'd never had a blood test prior to that. The only time I'd been at a GP is if I'd stacked my mountain bike and had superficial stuff. And so I left his office, and I had a request for bloods for a whole lot of stuff. Had a prescription for Prozac, which I didn't feel. I ended up feeling it later on, but didn't feel at the time because I was a bit embarrassed. And then got my bloods done, caught up with him in the new year once he had the results, and was full-blown type 2 diabetic, had a cholesterol level of 16.3, his second highest he'd ever seen. He was a 70-year-old GP, which is not what you want to be on the scoreboard for. Had fatty liver disease. And sort of that was when I sort of started to think about health. But even with all that bad news, I still yo-yoed quite a bit. So I'd jump on the next big thing, like 60-day challenge, and do some weird eating, like a juice fast, and I guess continued to do that, and that'd work for a bit. Then I'd feel comfortable. Then I'd start doing the same stuff that got me in trouble, and I'd go up and down and up and down, up and down. And so, it was when I got the cancer diagnosis, which was almost 12 months after I got the other stuff. I felt a lump down here. and Doctor Googled it, couldn't see anything that should be lumping down there, and it turned out that I had a big cucumber nodule off my thyroid, and then went in and got half done, and then they biopsy because it had a cancer cell on it. Then they biopsied the bit that they took off, and they found another cell, and they went back and took the other half out. So so that was the real kick in the ass, because my mum died of cancer when I was 21, and my dad died of cancer when Chloe was born. So I would have been about 38. So cancer in my family's had a bit of a death sentence. So
Yeah.
and then once that happened, then I was kind of on the right track, and I sold all my businesses and shelved everything and just focused on health. And so now that I'm getting back into entrepreneurialism again, I've made a pact that everything that I invest in or come up with as an entrepreneur needs to be in that better for you space. So
It
that's
is
the Ruck.
interesting, though, because from what I know of you, from the years that we've known each other, nearly all your businesses have been based around exercise and fitness, haven't they? Like,
Yeah,
not
like
all, but
no.
a very significant number.
Yeah, the irony of the first time, like my version 1.0 of entrepreneurialism, was a lot of the stuff that I did was the TV show that was on ESPN that used to inspire people to go and do epic stuff. And it was the events like Miss Muddy and all those things that got people moving and doing. But while all that was happening, I was going the other direction. So I was inspiring through my businesses. I was inspiring people to be the best version of themselves, but I was becoming the worst. And then and so this time around, I'm kind of playing in that same space, but I'm very mindful that I'm the focus. I'm the center of attention when it comes to what we're doing. So that's why I do all the Ruck Club catch-ups, and I'm the one who doing the media stuff, and I'm the one that's the host of the TV show now that we're back on air on Channel 7. And so and that keeps me accountable, because I can't be as unhealthy as I was back in the day and still operate the stuff that I'm doing now.
So obviously you can't be in all places, and we've got listeners all around the world. So if people wanted to set up a Ruck club anywhere, how do they go about doing that? Or can they be affiliated with you guys, or what way does that work?
We've got some good resources that we can send them. So if they head to rucksack.com and either drop us an email, I think there's it's either in the header or the footer of the website, there's Start a Ruck Club, and there's a lot of information there. While I own a brand that sells rucksacks, if people just grab their backpack out of their cupboard, because everyone's got one, wrap up, put some water in there, put some rice bags in there, put a dumbbell and wrap it up in, just get started to see if you like it first, because no one wants to drop good money on something that they're not going to use. But you'll realize pretty quick, if you do like the walking with weight and you see the benefits, then that's when you want to do it a little bit more comfortably, and that's when we can give them the tools to do it. But for me, it's like, I don't buy my product to get started. Go out and actually do it. So yeah, that's what I would say, and that's as easy it is to start a club. If you've got a couple of people that are keen to throw some weight in a backpack and go and meet you down at the lake or the local, we use Park Run a lot. So I love Park Run, and so when I tend to meet groups of people, I'll look at where the local park run course is, and that's 5Ks. Anyone rucking 5Ks, like it's an hour maximum.
Yeah.
So, and it's just for me, it's usually in a nice flattish area, and it's usually scenic, and they do the hard work of me trying to source a location. So yeah, just meet up with some friends at the local park run. Do it when park run's on, if you want, on a Saturday morning. There's park walkers there, so you'll just be there walking with a backpack instead. So
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got a bit of an offer for our listeners. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
you have a code. You're one of our affiliates. So if people want to either buy a Rucksack now, because that's what we have in stock, or go on the waiting list to get a Ruck vest when they arrive, which will be in about 3 to 4 weeks, fingers crossed. You can use the code Shauna15, so that's SHAUNA 15, and you'll get 15% off your purchase.
Awesome. Adam, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. We definitely have absolutely loved this trend that's come out, and we're all in it. Thanks a lot.
No worries.
This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or other professional advice. Information is provided for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you have any health concerns, always consult your doctor.